Hi, people. So, as I mentioned before, I want to make these vlogs more of a conversation between my viewers and my friends and myself. And so, yesterday, one of my friends started watching some of the videos and she gave me awesome feedback. And she mentioned that she wasn't really familiar with the therapeutic term of repressed memory. And I love that she brought that up because, being in this field for 13 years, those psychology terms are just normal conversation terms that I use every day at work. But to the everyday person, they may not have any idea what that is, and that's perfectly okay. They may have even experienced something like that, but they never really put a label to it or understood what it truly was. So I figured I'd just do a short little blip on what a repressed memory is and go from there. Okay? So what is a repressed memory? If you Google that definition, the definition that pops up is that it occurs when trauma is too severe to be kept in conscious memory and is removed by repression or disassociation or both. And at a later time, it can be recalled, and sometimes it appears as a conscious memory when that happens. The way I explain it to people is that it's basically when something happens to you in the past, or maybe when you were younger, that is so traumatic that your mind can't handle it at the time. So it buries the experience, or in my case, multiple experiences, deep into the subconscious mind. The person never has any knowledge or memory from it on the surface. Sometimes the time frame that the trauma occurred in is blacked out and little memory of that age is remembered. Little behaviors may surface because of the trauma experience, but they're usually overlooked and not really given much thought, at least in my case. Repressed memories can come through in a dream, and you may not really think anything of it because to us, dreams are dreams. They're not real. In my case, my repressed memory popped up as a dream, and when I woke from the dream, everything came flooding back. So when I use the term flooding, it's really just memories, thoughts, flashbacks just cloud your mind, flood your mind, overflows it. So as far as how to deal with something like that, I would absolutely recommend seeking professional help. Depending on what the trauma was, if you've never worked through it, if you've never talked about it, if this is the first time you're remembering it, your emotions may be all over the place and it could be really, really severe. You may feel like your whole world just shattered and that nothing makes sense and that you were lied to the last 30 years because you didn't know that this had happened to you. You may also start to associate certain character traits or habits or behaviors with being caused by that trauma. And then things about yourself start to make sense, which I found to be great because there are certain things about ourselves that sometimes we don't really get why we do what we do unless we go to therapy or unless we've studied, human behavior. I have to say, when I was in graduate school, I learned so much about myself and about my family of origin just by reading these family therapy books and these marriage counseling books. And I was like, wow, like eye-opening. I was able to take a step back and recognize like my parents are just people. They are just people that decided to get married and build a family. But it doesn't mean that they're not going to have their own flaws or their own bad habits or kind of put their own belief systems onto you with an expectation that you should also do and be exactly how they are. So if you've experienced a traumatic event or a repressed memory has now surfaced, I highly recommend that you don't just go to friends or family, because if you do that, you have to understand that it's going to be traumatic for them to hear what you may have gone through. They may experience guilt. They may deny what you're saying, which unfortunately that happens a lot in sexual abuse cases. They may not be able to wrap their head around what you're saying, and to protect themselves, they'll just like push it away. Like, there's no way that happened. You didn't experience that. That didn't occur. Somebody who's working through repressed memory or a traumatic event does not need that. That is not fair for them to hear that from a loved one. So the idea is, go seek professional help first. And if you decide down the road that you want to share or you want to express what you went through with family or friends, then allow your therapist, counselor, doctor to guide you into how to do that in the safest possible way for you. Also understand that trauma is different for everybody, and it's processed differently by everybody, and that there's no right or wrong way to do something. And everybody's going to have their own ideas or opinions on beliefs of how to cope or how to deal with something. And a lot of people may want to just help, so they'll just keep throwing advice or guidance or things they read or things that they saw on social media and just like throw that at you. You don't need that either. So be careful with who you choose to share the deeper stuff with. Know that not everybody's capable of hearing heavy stuff like that. It might be too much for them, and especially if you haven't been exposed to it before, you don't really understand what it means. Be gentle with yourself, and also be gentle with other people. You know, I have been in the therapeutic field, as I said before, for over a decade. And I have worked with a lot of sex abuse cases. A lot of my clients actually have experienced sexual abuse in some point in their lives. And I could tell you from sitting in my chair, I know that other practitioners, some practitioners, they can't handle that stuff. They can't hear it. They don't want to hear it. It upsets them too much. Some people that have had that same kind of trauma or sexual abuse, they don't want to hear it either, because, as I said before, it could trigger their memories, and that's not something that they are going to be able to help you with if they still haven't worked through their stuff. So in that aspect, it's good to research any kind of professional that you may want to seek help from, and kind of ask if they've worked in that field. Because if they've worked in that field, then they're going to be able to guide you better than somebody who hasn't worked in that field, because they've been exposed to it, they understand it, they've worked with clients with that. They'll be softer to talk to, if that makes sense. So as far as how I coped with my own, I did not seek outside help at this time, but I counseled myself and it worked for me. And I'm going to tell you that if it didn't work for me and I wasn't able to use my own skills to heal myself, I would have absolutely, reached out and gotten professional help from a neutral party. But I don't just practice. I don't not practice what I preach. I am constantly trying to improve myself and become a better therapist to my clients. As I said before, I read all the time. I read self-help books all the time. I read, different journals that come out, or success books, or better ways of understanding adolescents and teenagers. And I always want to get more information and learn from other professionals so that I can pick and choose if I feel maybe I want to bring this into my own practice. Maybe this guidance or this way of working through something might benefit one of my clients. So if you've ever experienced a hard situation in your life and maybe you're not ready to seek professional help, which that's okay too. It's hard to do. It's not easy to talk to people about something private and personal. There are books out there. There are professionals who have been in the field for years that have written really awesome books on this stuff. And when you read, you do it at your own pace and you can explore your own stuff. And I always tell people that if you pick up a book or a book you were told to pick up because it was recommended to you by somebody, and you start reading it and you're not feeling it, you know what? That's okay. Keep that book because there's a reason why you picked it up. Maybe you're not ready to read those words yet. Maybe you won't get it yet. Maybe you're not there yet. But it doesn't mean down the road that you're going to not be ready for it. Maybe one day something's going to happen or you're going to experience something, you're going to have some questions and you're going to be like, oh my God, this book. And you're going to pick it up and you're going to read it and you're going to get something out of it. That's awesome. But in general, seek professional help if you can. Talk to somebody that you feel safe with, that will not be judgmental, that won't thrust their opinions or beliefs or feelings, that won't give you sympathy, but is capable of giving you empathy. Nobody wants somebody to feel sorry for them. That doesn't work. I don't want people to feel bad for me. I want them to just sit and listen to me, hear me. And I want to know that they love and support me regardless of what I'm telling them. Pick up books. You ever need recommendations on some really good self-help books or therapeutic books or counseling books? Shoot me an email. I like I said, love reading. I tell my clients it's Laura's book club or Mac's book club. Some of my clients love to read and then I'll give them books to read and we talk about it and it's awesome. Some clients, they tell me, I don't read. That's fine too. There's podcasts out there as well. Little video clips. Let me know. I'll throw some stuff out there for recommendations. Whatever is going on in your life, whatever you have been through, know that it's in the past. You're currently in the present. Don't allow your past to prevent you from moving forward or living in your present. Okay? I hope that answered my friend's question.